Good morning, good evening, perhaps for some parts of the world. My name is Dr. Thomas Sellover. I'm serving as president of Professors World Peace Academy International, and I will be your MC for today's webinar program. This is a program of the IAAP, the International Association for Academicians for Peace, which is one of the pillar associations of UPF, the Universal Peace Federation. Our program is entitled Universal Values, the Role of Gratitude in Promoting Peace. And as we know, peace has many dimensions, and I think we'll be hearing more about that. We put out the statement on the poster, why aim for gratitude when so many algorithms, you can think about the web there, so many algorithms seem to promote fear and revenge over love and peace and gratitude. There's a hidden trend, and we're going to bring it forward in 21st century research that shows the benefits of appreciating goodness beyond oneself. And so that's what we're here to do today, to discover some of the surprising benefits of doing so. The image on our poster is a set of burning candles, symbolizing sharing the flame. Each of us has important contributions to make, but the greatness of those contributions is multiplied when we share them. And so is the gratitude. As we think about the people that are important in our lives, our sense of gratitude expands indeed. And so I'm very grateful to our panelists today for sharing this important and very practical topic with us. Let me first say that each of our speakers will have between 12 and 15 minutes or so to share their thoughts and insights with us. And then we're looking forward to a lively discussion together. So don't be shy. For the protocol, please use the raise hand function on Zoom under the reactions tab, because I might not see you all waving. So please do use that tab. So we come now to our first speaker, who is Dr. Staffan Berg. Dr. Berg is the executive director of the Universal Peace Federation, USA, in Arizona, which is an NGO in general consultative status with the United Nations. He's also the US National Coordinator for IAAP, International Association of Academicians for Peace, which is one of the pillars of UPF, as I said. Dr. Berg's undergraduate degree is in chemical engineering from Chalmers University of Technology in Sweden. And he's earned a DMin at UTS, which is now named the HJ International Graduate School for Peace and Public Leadership. His field of focus, well, actually he has many activities. His field of focus is energy healing with certifications in emotion and body code, plus Reiki. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Staffan Berg. The floor, sir, is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sellover, and thank you everybody for logging on here. It would be so wonderful if we all could overflow with gratitude, but sometimes it's hard. Sometimes when I myself fighting with stress and different feelings, then gratitude seems to be so far away. But I'm grateful for this opportunity to share more about it. So at least on the academic level, I can have it clear, and then I can churn my heart to the right place. So I'm just going to share a PowerPoint here, so you know, so I can keep track on where we're going. So the role of gratitude in promoting peace is a topic, and let's see now, can I move this over here? Okay, maybe I have to do, hang on. Nope. Okay, there. All right, let's go for some definitions here. American Psychological Association sees gratitude as a sense of thankfulness and happiness in a response to receiving a gift or tangible benefit given by someone, or a fortunate happenstance, like a beautiful day. And some other thoughts on this, emphasizing 2 points. Researchers Emmons and Culloch says that one, it's gratitude is an acknowledgement of goodness in one's life, and two, it's recognizing that the source of this goodness lie outside of the self. So we'll go into some more expansions from other viewpoints or psychological views of gratitude, maybe touch upon it a little bit later on. But sometimes people are a little bit hesitant about gratitude, wonder, is this genuine or not? I mean, you sometimes in business settings or as other settings, you may confuse it with appreciation, and you might get some kind of recognition, and but no one wants to be on the receiving end of praise that is not authentic. So gratitude is some kind of internal, some kind of feeling, but also has cognitive elements. So but if you receive something, you might wonder, is it just an empty gesture, or am I supposed to do something in return, or so forth? So that may be stopping one from feeling an overflowing, that feeling of love and gratitude. So, and there are other associations that are negatively associated with gratitude. There are 4 major traits or might inhibit that feeling. One is suspiciousness, that we touched upon, and indebtedness, also an envy, and also materialism and narcissism. And these researchers, Watkins says that narcissism may be the master inhibitor. And they've done recent research online on and doing tests, seeing that aligning that with selfish and likes and so forth, saying that, you know, it's and this is kind of a joke picture, but still, it's a result of research. Yes, more selfish, selfish have some to do with narcissism, according to the researchers. So if I'm all self-absorbed, maybe I don't recognize what other people do for me. Maybe that's an aspect. But gratitude is ubiquitous. It's all over. It's also in the animal world. And this research here, you have 2 chimpanzees. One is helping another. So the one receiving grooming in some ways is happy, receiving love. And the one who is doing it have maybe more of a trait or more a habit to help others. But what this researcher, Robert Trives, said is, he talked about reciprocal altruism. The emotion of gratitude has been selected to regulate human response to altruistic acts, and that the emotion is sensitive to the cost-benefit ratio of such acts. So here is the one who receives the grooming is more likely to reciprocate by sharing some food or some other goodies with the chimpanzee that helped earlier. So they find that in the animal kingdom and also among fish, that it has some kind of reciprocal altruism in this sense. And there's also some neurological firing in the brain in the cortex, showing that it's not only an emotional, gratitude is not only emotional, but also have some kind of cognitive aspects to it. And maybe Dr. Winings will comment more on that. Thank you. So just put it into context here. we have on the bottom level of gratitude, you can say that we have a narcissistic approach, saying that there's some, I wonder if this is real or not real. It's like discounting the experience. And then other people have more of a occasional emotion or mood that fluctuates through the day. So, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you giving me this gift or whatever, nice words, but maybe it disappears afterwards. And then it's going up more to the affective trait, something more part of the character that is more long-term, that some people are more helpful, more loving in their demeanor. They take it for granted. Of course, I help you. Have a disposition of being grateful. And you might have been fortunate enough to have met some of those people, or maybe you yourself is one of those. That's wonderful. It would be wonderful. So here, let's go into figuring out what's associated with gratitude, the secret sauce behind there. With gratitude comes some other aspects, and according to the literature, we get more life satisfaction, health, wisdom. Gratitude facilitates making and strengthening relationships and marriage, makes you feel better, and is pro-social, and maybe even you reciprocate the gratitude of receiving somebody to a third person or a fourth person because you feel so grateful. And also gratitude has something to do with religiosity, which I'll touch on in just a moment. But the key thing here I like to bring out is wisdom is correlated with gratitude. As you see in the second quote here, we believe that gratitude and wisdom co-emerge, and they are both a result of a self-reflective integration of experiences. And its gratitude seems to accompany wisdom, and also much more in women than men. They express it more in the surveys. And they did a survey among people, getting references from people who were seen by others as wise. And there was a selection of people in Australia, the research, the youngest was 26 of the wise people, the oldest was like 92. And when they gave their testimonies of their life, women shared more gratitude points than, or mentioned gratitude more often than the men. But then they checked college students. They had like 600 some who were responded, and 400 they could count at the full response. They verified that actually gratitude does correlate with wisdom in this appreciation, sense of abundance, and frequency of giving gratitude, and also appreciation of others. So wisdom and gratitude is kind of a surprising correlation, but it's made. In the other research, I found that the researcher tried to instigate, so to say, gratitude. So they had the test subjects maybe under, so to say, a false pretense, but they had them have a control group do something, and then another group do write letters of gratitude, or take the letter on a visit, or mail it to see how it works differently. And also making a gratitude journal that is more a long-term thing. It all had effect of changing, have some kind of lasting effect in the people they surveyed and the results. And also to nurture gratitude, a recommendation that came out is don't give things. And this maybe is good for your relationship, but give experiences that works better for gratitude if that's your aim. To have things maybe come and go, but experiences, go to a show or dinner or a trip. This is wow, look at this vista here. Whoa, you know, it's a nice place. Actually, Norway, but it's that would be an experience to go there. I haven't been there myself, but you know, the internet does wonderful things for us. And that leads us to the next one. Gratitude is also can come when you reflect on life and death. And you know, some people have near-death experiences, maybe coming out feeling more grateful than before. So this is an aspect of that. And if you sit at the edge there, you might give a thought or two about life and death. I'm sure I would. So what we talked about so far has been when we have wonderful experiences, and the definitions, psychological definitions, as we started off with, was when something good happened to you. Then you feel grateful, just automatically. But there is a point here that is like a ceiling to that, because life is not all good. Anybody notice that? It's not only good things happen to you. You know, sometimes there may be really not good things to happen. So the point is, how can is it then, am I justified? If gratitude is only supposed to be dealing with good things, should I be angry and resentful then? I mean, this is an issue, but actually you find that the wise people, when they reflect on their life, they came up with gratitude and wisdom at the same time, mostly coming from difficult experiences. So here's a quote where they researched the connection with religion and spirituality and coping in difficult situations. It says, religion may help people to maintain gratitude even in the face of emotional distress. Possible mechanisms for this include the social support inherent in religious involvement, the act of praying, which can stimulate gratitude, and the direct benefits that can come from religious coping strategies, such as seeing negative events as lessons or as opportunities to form a stronger connection to God. So that's food for thought here. Religion maybe has a role here, but religion, we have to kind of look at this a little bit more closely. And some people had done that here. Krauss and Desmond and Palmer did that. They say the type of religion that's positively associated with gratitude is when you experience a personal relationship, either as an answer to a prayer or seeing something as a miracle from God, or you have religious friends who kind of facilitate the feeling of gratitude. But we are not talking about a religion that is fitting in a box. Your affiliation with a certain religious groups or denomination doesn't really matter, or if you are part of religious, organized religion doesn't matter, and your theology is not important, or even saying that you're not religious, but you're spiritual instead, and so forth. It doesn't matter. It's a personal relationship somehow that has an importance for gratitude. And I think that's something to note here. So to dealing with issues that are challenging, we need to kind of learn to reframe and meditate or think about life or death. And that leads to gratitude, and maybe not just a reciprocal altruism, but actually a pure altruism. And there's some research even talking about pure altruism in relationship to gratitude, not reciprocal among human beings. So that is, so maybe we can move up even higher than just have a cost-benefit analysis about gratitude. So here are some quotes from the wisdom teachings of the world here. Yoruba proverb here from African traditional religion says, "One upon whom we bestow kindness, but will not express gratitude, is worse than a robber who carries away our belongings." and from the Judaic tradition, be not like those who honor their gods in prosperity and curse them in adversity, in pleasure or pain, give thanks. And from Christianity, do not be surprised at the fiery ordeals that has come to you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you, but rejoice inasmuch as you participate in the sufferings of Christ. And I like to finish here with the quote from the founder of the International Association of Academicians for Peace, Mother Moon. She says here, how can I live today with more gratitude than yesterday? And she continues, I've tried to live a life in which I am more grateful today than I was yesterday, and in which I will be even more grateful tomorrow than I am today. It has been my life's goal to have gratitude in my heart every day. Right before True Father, her husband, left for Danbury, he said to her, please never complain. You should be grateful for the position you have been placed in, for when you become completely one through your gratitude, great miracles can take place. And I think this is something we can maybe think about a little bit more, because miracles is something I really like to experience, good miracles. So gratitude is part of that. So again, thank you very much for your kind attention. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Berg. Thank you very much. Let's appreciate the vigor and rigor of your presentation. Thank you indeed. You are causing us to think grateful thoughts on many aspects of life, some happy ones and some challenging ones too. And so that it kind of expands the field or the realm of gratitude. Indeed. Thank you indeed. So let's hear from our second speaker, and then we'll have time to discuss together. Our second speaker is Dr. Kathy Winings. And let me take a moment to introduce Dr. Winings to you. In addition to her role as she's the Vice President of the Board of Directors of the International Relief Friendship Foundation. She also has served in numerous administrative and teaching positions in higher education, such as, for example, Vice President for Academic Affairs and Director of the Doctor of Ministry program at the Unification Theological Seminary, which is now known as the HJ International Graduate School of Peace and Public Leadership. She's also president and founder of Educare, an educational consulting firm with expertise in curriculum design, teacher training, educational programming, educational leadership, and here's the connection I think is especially interesting, neuroscience and service learning, those two together. Dr. Winings also works with character education initiatives as a trainer and a coach and a consultant. And this particular initiative is currently working with teachers and administrators in Belize. So Dr. Winings received her EDD, her education doctorate, from Teachers College of Columbia University. She's the author of numerous published articles on neuroscience, service learning, social justice, and brain-based teaching. She's the editor of the book American Christian Traditions, and also author of Building Character Through Service Learning. She's currently writing a book, as I understand, on her recent near-death experience. So she has lots of fields of wisdom to draw upon in sharing with us her understandings of gratitude. And we're very grateful to have Dr. Winings with us. Let's welcome her warmly. Thank you. Dr. Winings, please take it away.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Sellover. Yes, I have found myself over the last 2 years becoming more grateful than ever before because of my near-death experience 2 years ago. And I'm constantly reminded about that as well from the conversations I've had with God, the Holy Spirit, etc. You know, a Zen Zen saying has, if there is light in the soul, there is beauty in the person. And if there is beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. And if there's harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. And if there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. If I think we are to really begin and bring about world peace, we need to first ask ourselves if how we think, how we speak, how we act makes a difference. And I'm not asking a simple question, I realize that, but we need to ask this first, if gratitude is to be relevant in transforming and being a transformative force in our world. Gratitude, I believe, brings light to the soul because it shines a light on our sense of interconnectedness with one another. It immediately awakens us to what we receive from each other and from the world around us. This extends beyond our immediate connections, our family, our friends, our neighbors, and with people we know personally, and to include really the wide array of people who contribute in some way to our lives, to our world. When we think about it, if you offer a prayer or a blessing on the food, you're really showing gratitude and acknowledging someone you don't know, because you're acknowledging someone who worked hard to bring that food to the grocery store or to the market and to you, things like that. So gratitude does this, it brings that sense. So going back to the issue of neuroscience, I want to begin there, because based on neuroscience, we have learned that transformational experiences trigger our brain to release a very important neurotransmitter and hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is associated with the feeling of a sense of peace, of a connectedness, and trust in others. Studies have further shown that practicing gratitude will promote happiness and joy and a better connectedness. This is why oxytocin has often been called the morality molecule in our brain. So every time we engage in some form of gratitude, by word, thought, or action, it is triggering and releasing oxytocin. This is why when people serve someone or they say something like thank you, there's a momentary feeling of, oh, I feel good, don't you? When you said thank you for someone, or you've acknowledged that gift to you, you feel good. Well, that's why. It's releasing this very important hormone and neurotransmitter. So practicing gratitude and thankfulness has benefits also for our well-being, as Dr. Berg talked about. It results in feeling less depressed, less anxious, and physically healthier. People who practice gratitude generally have better physical lives. Gratitude, as researchers have shown, goes beyond just saying thank you. It is, as Dr. Berg noted, doing the activities that he outlined. Those kind of activities are critical. This is why I like service learning. And this is why I have introduced service learning into so many of my activities, and with my consultation and training of teachers and school administrators. The Greater Good Science Center is a great resource, by the way, if you want to look at gratitude. found numerous benefits of gratitude, such as increasing happiness, positive moods, satisfaction with life and with others. But on a group level, two things stood out for me from their research. It increases pro-social behaviors. It increases pro-social behaviors, and it strengthens relationships. One thing I was clearly asked to do as part of my near-death experience in speaking with God, one thing that God said to me, besides saying, my love saved you, your life will be different, and you should seek out people that you may have hurt or wronged with a word or thought and ask their forgiveness. I did that. It was hard at first. Let me tell you, for a couple people I approached, it was a little hard. But I went up to them and I said, can you please forgive me for what I may have said or done that hurt your heart and hurt you? It was as if something shifted all around me. And by the way, my relationship with this individual is remarkably different. Actually, one afternoon, this person calls and says, you want to see a movie? I want to go see, I think it was Where the Crawdads Sing. Because his wife was visiting the grandchildren and he didn't want to see it alone. So, okay, sure. I almost fell out of my chair because that's not something he would have done before. Nor would I have thought about it either. So gratitude, forgiveness and gratitude go together. Those are actions that stimulate our body, our character, our emotions to respond. And it does strengthen relationships. Practicing gratitude also trains our brain. It not only releases oxytocin, but it trains our brain. It trains the neurons. I won't go into depth with that, but it does create neural pathways, as they're called, around a certain concept and thought and idea. These pathways are what trains us and trains our brain to become more in tune with experiencing gratitude and practicing gratitude and positive emotions and thoughts. That's the power of gratitude on our brains, ultimately. Think about it. It creates pathways that are not focused on anger, resentment, things like this. And we have those. Why is it hard to get rid of, sometimes change our habits? Because we form neural pathways that have been reinforced over time. You have someone that you absolutely detest or don't like, your thoughts keep feeding more and more, then you have a huge pathway around that thought. This is why it's hard to change. Gratitude allows you to form new pathways. And those pathways allow you to, what we call pruning the negative ones, because you cease to have give and take with it. You cease to draw on it. So it loses power. So gratitude disconnects us from toxic, negative emotions, thoughts, feelings that sort of ruminate and accompany those negative emotions. It really disconnects us from that. Gratitude takes us out of our sense of individualism and separateness, which our society feels. And it increases our awareness and sense of interconnectedness. It deals also very much with separating us from a sense of behavior that is antisocial and things like, and resentment in particular. Much of our core of most wars and atrocities can be found in resentment attitudes, the resentments we hold in our hearts. Gratitude allows us to disconnect from that. So I want to go to the main point of my experiences with gratitude in terms of service learning. And I had two examples I want to share. One is, and these are extreme, and I've chosen extreme ones because they're very clear notations. We did a project, IFF and RYS, Religious Youth Service, in the Dominican Republic. And it was between Dominican young adults and Haitian young adults, their neighboring country. If you know the history of Hispaniola, which is the two countries together were originally Hispaniola. If you look at the history, when one nation dominated, the other suffered, and vice versa. When the African nations came in and controlled Hispaniola, the Spaniards had a difficult time. But then when the Spaniards took over, it was payback time, right? Payback. So it's been like that, to the point where the Haitian young people who drove across the border to be part of the project, they were asked to leave, get out of the van. There were 10 of them. Those who were darker skinned were held for 8 to 10 hours. And the light skinned were allowed to leave because they could pass for Dominicans. It took us time to get them to where we were. When we got there, of course, initially, we had to be very careful of what projects we gave each group. I had to really think, do I ask the Haitian young people to work on the bathrooms or on the roofs, or what? How did they see each other? It was a tricky process. But in the afternoons, because of the heat, the afternoons, they did like a mini UN and had discussions and got to know each other. There was a pool there at this hostel that we were at, fortunately. And they got to know each other differently through the gradual day by day efforts in those 2 weeks. They learned to hear each other. And if one person, I need say, I need the hammer, and they gave it to them, they'd say, thank you. That simple acknowledgement, whether they realized it or not, began a process in their brain and in their heart. By the end of the time of the project, we did a bridge crossing ceremony where we sort of like put them together as friends, kind of thing for eternity. When they left, they were in tears, hugging each other. Their hatred had disappeared. They were introducing each other as their new best friend. These are two countries that individuals from two countries that hated each other. But the service learning changed that. It began to rebuild a new feeling, new emotion. It separated them from their individual separatedness and got them thinking, being interconnected. I am interconnected. If I hurt you, I'm hurting me. The resentment began to leave. It was a powerful, powerful project. The second project that was done took place in Israel, which in today's world is very interesting. We worked on a kibbutz in an extremely Orthodox area. And I don't even want to try. I'll try to say it, but it's Bet Shmer. I know that Miri Kumar is on. If I've mispronounced it, please excuse me. But it's a very, very Orthodox conservative area. And it was between the members of the kibbutz and the surrounding community and Palestinian young adults. And on top of that, we did not put the Palestinians in a hostel, a separate hostel or a hotel, which often we do. We did homestays. Here you have Palestinian young adults staying for 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks, in the home of an Orthodox Jewish family. You want to talk resentments, anger, and what was being said by both sides. The Jewish families, the mothers especially, would say, "How dare you? I cannot have a murderer in my home. His people that killed my son and my husband." Every one of them had lost someone in the fighting. The Palestinian young adults were likewise. "I can't stay with the Jewish family. They killed my brother. They shot his plane down." The anger, the resentment. Because we're sitting there going, okay, what did we get ourselves into? But we stood behind the power of service learning to be a way of practicing gratitude, among other things. There was also interreligious dialogue going on as well. But I tell you, at the end of the project, the Jewish parents were saying, "I would like to introduce my Palestinian son." And the Palestinian young adults were saying, "I'd like to introduce my Israeli mother and father or brother." Completely shifted. The power of gratitude being practiced actively. Did we always tell them to say thank you every day? No, because we knew that the power of acting that way would move hearts and minds. So am I a firm believer in gratitude? Absolutely. Just remember, and I'm always reminded, if there's light in the soul, which is encouraged by gratitude, there will ultimately be peace in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Winings. You've taken us through a theoretical aspect and also the narrative of some stirring stories of gratitude in practice. And the Israeli one, the one in Israel rather, is especially timely today, as you pointed out. And such a counterpoint to some of the kinds of responses that we see going on, including on our college campuses. So this is not only something that individuals can practice, but it's something that we need to have more widely in the society. I'm intrigued by your emphasis on the interconnectedness, because we tend to think that our emotional profile is individual, but actually we're quite interactive, I think, when it comes to attitudes such as gratitude and kindness and wisdom. You've certainly shown us a lot of wisdom. It exemplified many of the things that Dr. Berg was talking about the connection between gratitude and wisdom, and also how through some things that you only touched on in terms of physical challenges, actually opened up this third level of well-being and gratitude there, that, you know, the three stages that Dr. Berg put up there. I'm sure that your frenemies from the past were very unnerved and excited and happy to see the change to that is really substantial. So thank you very much. Now we have a little while to share some thoughts and comments with both of our panelists. So please do not be shy. Please do use the hand raising utility, because there are more people on the webinar, more participants than I can see. So it's down under the reaction tab. Yeah, raise hand. So otherwise, just like in a class, we might end up calling on you. So how about that?
Thank you, Dr. Sellover. Maybe I can just throw something out here for Dr.
Okay,
Whiting.
and I see Rodney Edwards is teed up to ask a question after you finish. Go ahead, Dr. Berg.
Dr. Winings, I'm so glad you have this brainy neurological knowledge, oxytocin, love hormone, moral hormone, all that kind of stuff. It's, you know, it's makes this relationship sticky and all that is wonderful. I love it. Also, when I looked around, I saw also dopamine was somehow connected to this gratitude complex of being activated. And I know that people who are online getting rewarded or even playing games or doing something quick rewards digitally is a dopamine stimulation or reward coming out. I don't know. Can you comment on that? Because that's kind of, in a sense, separating people, but connecting them. So do you have any thoughts about that?
I mean, it's a good point that you raise. The hormones and the neurotransmitters that are released on our brain, they interplay with each other. And my immediate response, without going back to my resources, would be that I suspect that the dopamine, which is a strong and powerful hormone, can work in harmony with the oxytocin. The oxytocin, I think, has the upper hand as a neurotransmitter compared to dopamine. And it can help direct the work or the offset, the expression of the, dopamine, I believe. Again, though, it would depend on how much is being released, which we have a little bit. If we have a lot, for example, if you're taking a lot of medications that have dopamine in it, that can offset that balance a bit, is my understanding based on the research I've done in that, and my conversations with my neurosurgeon as well. But that's how I would express it. It's a good one. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Winings. Okay, Mr. Edwards, Rodney Edwards, please go ahead. And you're muted, sir.
I've come based upon experience I had, and I watched my father and how he handled discrimination, and he was my example of how to handle those type of experiences. And I remember my brother and I were newspaper boys. We won a promotion contest for the summer camp, and on the way to the summer camp, we had a lunch break. They wouldn't serve me and my brother at the counter. And so that's a turning point in our life in terms of direction our life would take. For my brother, he couldn't deal with the pain at all, so it led him into drugs to escape the pain. For me, I was always especially sensitive, so Holy Spirit started talking to me. I started trying to reason. I said, make some sense of what happened to me. I was thinking, if I'm evil, if they know I'm evil, it's logical. They won't serve me any food at the counter. But they've never seen me before, a day in their life. I trip as if they do know me. Holy Spirit said, right, they don't see you. Always the idea that they call you. And then I began to reflect about that. See, a lot of white people is opinion of black people is a stereotype. If I'm going to be opposite of the stereotype, I'll confuse white people and force them to think. They need to be educated. And then God revealed to me, so God told me I have to take responsibility to prove relationships between black and white. If not, future generations will suffer even more. I'm about 16 when this is happening with my life. So my father relocated to another city in California. The Klan was 12 miles away, and the children felt beaten down because the parents felt beaten down. The children had to see the defeat from the parents. And what hurt my heart was no one was trying to raise up their spirit. So I made declaration of war against racism at the school. Not against people with a mindset of racism. I integrated all white table. Are you sure you didn't get lost? At that time, Dr. King was my he was my bright light. So I tried to apply those principles to try to reconcile people, help them understand our point of view. And then God began to motivate open-hearted white children to sit with me at lunchtime. And I made determined to sit in the front of my class. I hand me first hand up. If I didn't know the answer, I hand me the first hand up. Inspire the young people. I did a lot of research on discrimination, racism, how they deal with these issues. So I started an intercultural club at the high school. International, it's called Intercall. We had a symbol, two multicolored hand stretch called multicolored globe. It was a peace through understanding. So that we had Jewish brothers and sisters, Hispanic, Catholic, Protestant. We try to understand each other individually and break down the barrier. And so this gave hope to the people. Okay, anyway, just to share, I could relate to some of that and I felt really good because I make a difference in the community. And my father compared me to Dr. King. I said, you can't do that. So we did joint. I just want to share that with you, my experience with it, this issue of especially racism. I have a lot of experience with that.
Thank you, sir. That's a real example of rewiring the situation that
Yeah.
Dr. Winings has been talking about too. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I call on Barbara Mosley Marks? Are you handy and can you join us with your question or comment?
Thank you. Yes. First of all, I've put myself on camera. I don't know if you can see me.
Yeah, part of you anyway.
Yeah.
Part of me.
Yeah.
But you can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So, Dr. Whining, it's been a long time since we've seen each other, but thank you for your answer to the question I had on screen. But I also want to thank you for giving me the names to the program. I created a character education program in 1996, which I started in my home, and then I took it into the community and into a school in DC. And I started out by giving basic manners and development of character in my home. And then it's a 6-week program. At the end of it, we did a service project. And the choice of project is a hunger project where I have the children. I created a flyer and contacted a homeless shelter to ask them about their needs, and then get permission from a local supermarket and ask them to have the customers permission to have the customers donate a can or cans of food. We asked only for 1 can. We gave them about 3 or 4 choices. Asked for 1 can. One lady came out literally with a shopping cart spilling over. She said she was so happy she had not seen children doing things like that since she was young. And so she was so happy. And the youngster who actually asked for it, I had gone to take one of my children. I was a soccer mom and had 3 children in different soccer clubs. When I got back, he was jumping up and down. So I told him, I said, let me park the car first. He was regaling me with his experience. And so when you did your presentation, now I have names to put to the actions and the results of the program that I've been doing. I'm getting ready to start that again. So thank you for your research and for your activities, because now I feel more valued in what I'm doing. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much for sharing this story with us. It's exciting and heartwarming at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I turn next to Ray McCready? Please share your question or comment.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Yeah, it's just a short comment. I saw others were looking to speak. Thank you, Dr. Wannings and Stefan Berg. I always loved Stefan's excellently researched in all the slides, and I try to take screenshots of those. And but I was also impressed by Dr. Wannings, your point about the pathways, because yeah, it's amazing. We kind of get stuck in a certain way of thinking or responding, and then that made me think of trying to make new pathways. You talked about was the story when in this one situation, a Korean young man got matched and blessed to a Japanese woman, and she went to live in Korea, and the father-in-law just could not accept her, but she persevered, and he would basically say fairly unkind things about her and to other people, even when she was there. But after some years of this, and she served them and took care of them and the grandchildren, finally he just changed, and people came up and said, well, I thought you really hated that girl. And he goes, no. He goes, that's all past, you know. And so somehow he created new pathways. I thought that was a good example. That was it. Thanks.
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you for bringing that example forward. May I turn next to Bill Sellett for your comment or question? Sir, you are muted. There you go.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Wannings and Dr. Berg. Very wonderful presentations. Not surprised at all. I know you, both of you, and I know you have so much to offer. I'm just curious, not to be the devil's advocate, but you, Dr. Wannings, you spoke so much about oxytocin and dopamine and so forth. And why don't we just put it all into the water supply and have world peace? I'm just, what's the problem here? What do we need God? I'm half joking, but I'm just curious, since you do place so much emphasis on these chemicals and that side of this story. Thank you.
I love the image of doing that, Bill. Dr. Selig, I really love the image. That's going to stick with me now. Yeah, we wonder, but you know, some things take hard work. And this is, you know, rewiring our brain takes a bit of work and focus and will to do so. Being a religious person who's taught for 30 years in a seminary, of course, as you know, my thought would be we need a higher power, whether you call it God, Heavenly Parent, Mother God, Father, it doesn't matter to me, or Allah. We need that because that is a force that loves us and wants us to succeed, regardless of who and what we do and are, in my opinion. Therefore, I think that we need that. We also need examples of people who have persevered and done that. And we also need the encouragement from each other that we can do that, to develop the will to do that. But it is not easy. I wish it were as easy as putting it in our water supply like we do with fluoride. We have great teeth, but you know.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the response as well. We are actually at the hour, but if we may, if our technical folks will let us do it, we can continue for a little while. I see some participants who want to contribute. And so if that's amenable for everyone, I'd like to call on the Kileys, Dr. Michael and also Maria Kiley. Please share your comment or question. And you are muted, sir, so please take care of that first.
Wonderful. Bob, it's really good to see you on this side of the Atlantic, this side of the pond, this side of the Pacific, I should say. The religious the Religious Youth Service did a project in Nigeria.
Mm.
Was all about religion. Kathy, I'm sure you were involved with this, Dr. Winings. And it was a project with Muslim and Christian young people. And together they built the foundation for a church and for a mosque. And there was quite a bit of antipathy among them initially, and parents who objected, as I remember. But the same effect. By the end of the program, I believe it was 2 weeks. I don't quite remember. But by the end of the program, they were just bosom buddies, really appreciating each other, and the barriers between Muslims and Christians had come down. In Nigeria, as you may have seen in the news, there's been quite a bit of interreligious killing, particularly there has been abused. Politicians have abused this tension between Muslims and Christians for their own political gain. And so there's some very unfortunate stories about that. But this RYS program was a very good example of what you're talking about, how it is possible through service learning to transform us. And there was a lot of gratitude at the end. It's a beautiful program. Thanks for your involvement with that, Dr. Winings.
Very good, very good. Dr. Berg, you want to make a comment on that?
Yeah, comment about the promotion of fear and resentment. I know myself, when I'm in a tizzy, angry, or for some reason or whatever, it's hard to think, especially if I'm fearful. It's hard to think. And I go out of that, I go into that fight or flight or HPA axis in myself, and I can't think. And as we discussed, gratitude comes similar to wisdom upon reflection. If I can't think, it's hard to reflect. So then it's kind of, I'm inhibited to facilitate the growth of gratitude. So there are certain power groups that feel that it's not good to have too much gratitude or wisdom out there, but they feed on some side effects. Come on. Maybe one reason why it's so prevalent these days. So I hope that can change. Some wise people will find ways to make it come up better. So anyway, thank you. Just a thought about that.
Thank you. Thank you both. Len, let me turn to Leslie Rigney, who has a question or a comment. And we have a couple more.
This is a beautiful presentation. Thank you, Dr. Berg and Dr. Winings. I recently have been looking at the book, The God Gene. And in The God Gene, the author speaks about that there's actually a gene that allows people to have a transcendent view of life. But what you're speaking of, Dr. Winings, is that this is actually available for everyone. So maybe you and the author need to talk together or something. Thank you.
Hardwired for gratitude, eh? Something like that. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me turn to Dr. Jeffrey Nakama. I'm sorry, mispronunciation. Please excuse me.
Yeah, wonderful presentation, Dr. Berg, Dr. Wining, both colleague and a mentor. Great to see you. I really liked the point that Dr. Wining made about gratitude and forgiveness. I think because it's easy to say forgive or love your enemy, but it's just conceptual unless you do it. I think when you actually do it, I think the maybe the neurons become more complete or more solidified, like Dr. Wine is into service learning. So I really feel that, yeah, it's not just a concept, but it's something that has to be done. Something, you know, like, yeah, love your enemy. We all say that, but to actually, when you actually do it, I think the neurons become, you know, it's like the trail in the bush becomes a road, you know, or something like that. But that gives me a greater incentive to actually go and do and not just think about it. But anyway, yeah, thanks for that. I think forgiveness and gratitude is on the same pendulum, you know, the way it swings. Father said, forgive, love, and unite. Those three words are so important, I think. Yeah, that's my comment.
Very good. Thank you. Thank
If
you
I
very
can add a
much.
quick point to Dr. Nakama's point, is that forgiveness, it impacts you, the one who's asking forgiveness. You ask for forgiveness and you offer forgiveness for yourself. In that sense, I mean, it comes back to you. It's more for you than it is for the other person, and that's why it works in that way, because then you all become aware. So thank you for drawing that point out.
Great, great. Thank you both very much. And now I'd like to turn to someone who has the same last name as I do, Dr. Grace Sullover, for your comment or question. You're muted. There you go. You're not unmuted yet.
Okay, so can you hear me now? Okay, yeah, thank you very, very much for Dr. Whining and Dr. Berg. Both are my dear friends that I have met, I have not known. And the message is really very striking. I just want to say that being grateful, you have to be grateful when in the situation, environment, which is very hard to be grateful for. And that's something is really test. I remember that when my husband experienced this episode, which is only about a few months ago, the episode was that, you know, he was brought in with ambulance, through ambulance to the hospital. Just only 2 months ago, this happened. And it was shocking. And I went with the ambulance, and I saw him settling in the hospital the first night. Then went back to my room, and I said a very strong special prayer to God. And I feel that God heard my voice, God heard my prayer. Then I just didn't want to think any negative thought or anything. Then afterwards, I was with him, visiting him at the hospital for more than a month, and he was transferred from one hospital to another, altogether 3 different hospitals. What I'm saying all this is that to be grateful is something really, personally, I think it's a life learning process, and it's constantly a reminder to ourselves that we have to be grateful. We need to be grateful, and we want to be grateful for anything, for whatever we experience. And that's something really, that's something that God can be appreciative to us, you know. So that Dr. Berg talked about is a great gratitude, is acknowledgement, it's an appreciation with authentic emotional gesture. You know, this is really something, appreciation to God and appreciation to others is something that can really help us to really strengthen the relationship. So again, I just want to thank both of you for the knowledge that you provided intellectually, but also help us to build up emotionally, how to be able to strengthen ourselves with one another, with God. As Dr. Burr said, giving gratitude itself is wise behavior, and it is wise. It is always wise to be grateful, and I strongly believe that. And thank you very, very much for the reminder. I'm going to keep that dear to my heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed. Well, I'm glad to be alive, and I'm glad somebody else is glad that I'm alive. So that's great. I'm grateful. Thank you. And may we now turn to Hans Moyer, who has a question or a comment.
Yes, I just wondered if there were some type of formula for building a new neural patterns or new neural pathways that Dr. Winings was talking about, and what kind of correlation there could possibly be between various religious paths, the Eightfold Path in Buddhism, or the principle of restoration in the unificationist tradition. If you could elaborate on that a little bit.
I mean, you and I can talk offline as well, Hans, but to just briefly respond, yes, there is, for lack of a better word, a formula. There is a way to develop new neurons, new pathways, and to prune existing pathways that are not ideal. There is a way to do that. That's, a scientific fact. In terms of the, the religious, the past, the religious dictums and practices, they certainly, I believe, were designed to help continue to retrain our brain and to make appropriate pathways. That's what I believe religious theologies and thoughts can do. The problem is practicing it and strengthening that. You can form a pathway around anything, any concept, any experience. If you strengthen it, you get, have you ever made candles from scratch? It's right. You dip it into the wax, you let it cool, you dip it again, and then you eventually, that old-fashioned way. Similarly, our pathways, for lack of a better image, are like that. The more you strengthen it, then the stronger that pathway, the larger it becomes. More neurons are pulled into it because around that concept. So yes, there is a formula to do that, and there was a way, and there's equally a way to prune, because you have to do both. You can try to get rid of a bad habit by having a new habit. That's the new pathway. But you're going to have to also trim the other one so that it begins to die out. And there's ways to do that in neuroscience. Yes.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the response as well. I think we'll soon come to a wrapping point. Actually, there's a lot more to talk about. I appreciate Dr. Wining's mention of the candles. Was that image we have on our poster, that we actually share those inspirations with one another, and they become brighter. So I think we've all been brightened up by the education and the sharing and the heartfelt testimonies that we've heard and participated in today. And in closing, I'd just like to go back to the words of Mother Moon that Dr. Berg quoted at the end of his presentation, to be more grateful tomorrow than even I am today. And the more we might know about her life, the more we can see how impressive that is. But also it's a shareable wisdom for all of us to look forward to being more grateful tomorrow even than we are today. And that's something we can all look forward now and always. So would you please join me in thanking both of our excellent presenters? And we're very grateful for this program and for all the comments and questions and responses which we could receive. So thank you very much. And may the source of gratitude, may heaven be with you all until we have an opportunity to meet again. Thank you very much. And I'd like to close out this program
Is it possible to get Dr. Wining's contact information?
Is it possible, Dr. Winings, do you have a minute to put your contact information on the chat? That would be great. And we surely want to have a screenshot of everybody, right? Leslie, are you the host, or is EJ backed?
No, it's EJ. EJ.
Okay, so maybe EJ will take a screenshot for us if he's there. Yeah, or I will, but I'm not very good at it. Yep, okay. And let's see. So, yes, Dr. Winings put her contact information, Gmail, and phone number in the chat. So please grab it if you need it.
On the back, what's it?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Blessings.
Bless you.
Have a wonderful
Bless
week.
you, Dr. Winings.
Bye,
Okay.
We need to
Thank
get in
you.
contact with you, Dr. Winings.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Bless everybody.
Bye.
Thank
God
you.
bless you. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you. God bless.
Thank you and good
Thank you.
food.
you, Barbara.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Lyrics, thank you. And
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Solola,
Hi,
thank
Zoe.
you.
Hi.
Miri, welcome back from Israel.
There we are.
Very,
Okay.
bless you, Mary.
Mhm.
Vicky Phelps. Don't tell no C.
There we go.
Zoe, I left a message in the chat for you,
For who?
for Zoe. Zoe
Zoe.
Bennett.
To Vicky?
Greek.
Con.
Zoe Bennett, my
What's
Greek
the-
sister.
Anton.
Right.
Hello, Vicky. Don't tell no C.
Vicky left.
Don't tell no C, Vicky.
Rodney, Edward, Rodney, this is my classmate. This is Grace Lee.
Don't tell no
Well, you're classmates with each other. Okay.
Yeah. I used to go by Grace Lee, Rodney, you remember?
Say again?
I'm talking to you. I said, you are my classmate. You were my classmate back in UTS.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to go by Grace. I used to go by Grace Lee.
Oh, okay. Long time no see. Good to see you again.
Yeah, long time no
Bruce
see.
Lee's cousin.
Wow. Put your contact information so I can keep in contact.
Okay. You guys are the best.
I need to keep connected with you.
You can put it in the chat if you can do it.
Right.
I cannot find the chat there. 你可以帮我打，你可以帮我打。
Oh,
Come
okay.
to Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's right.
He's not typing for me. Yes, I cannot find the chat here.
But I'm typing it in, so just bear with
Okay,
me.
so he's making a note. So yeah, Rodney, I remember you. 87, right? 1987.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Reverend Kim told me I had to leave the seminary to take care of my wife who was pregnant with our first child.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. But anyway, I remember your face. I remember your name. There you go. Yeah.
Also, you were the
There you
news
go.
flow too, weren't you, Vicky?
So Rodney, I put it into the chat. I put her
Thank
email
you.
address in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right. Nice to see you, Rodney. Catch you later.
All right, everyone.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I have
Okay.
to
Thank
end the
you,
call.
EJ. I think you can wrap us up.
Yes. Have a good day, everyone.
Okay, thank you, EJ.
I don't see it in the chat.
Bye bye.
I don't see that
Bye-bye.
information.
Oh, grace.sellover@aol.com.
Okay.
Oh, he's getting the email.
grace.sellover@aol.com.
Okay.
Sellover,
Okay.
Selover.
Please
Okay,
stay well. Please
there we
stay.
go. We got it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Darling,
Thank you,
I
EJ.
remember father saying your name, my little son.
Oh yeah,
My
Melissa.
son.
Hi, Melissa from Seattle. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
I finally figured out how to unmute myself.
Oh, I see.
I'm like, where is it? Which page is it on? Learning something new.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Well,
Nice
Melissa,
to
All
see
right,
you,
we gotta
Melissa.
go. We have to go. Sorry. Thank you. We'll see you again.
Okay, thank you, Jay.
Bye,
God
everybody.
bless. Thank
God
you
bless
so
everyone.
much.